Yo, dudes, Oren here. I wanted to do a video where I quickly talk about 8 of my favorite players in the 2023 NFL draft. The first one, in my opinion, is Will Anderson Jr., the edge out of Alabama. He is a premium player at a premium position who plays for a premium college. That being, edge rusher at Alabama. And everybody's talking about other edge rushers because it is an important position, and everybody should be stocking up on them. People like Tyree Wilson, Myles Murphy, Nolan Smith, Lucas Van Ness, and none of those guys are being talked about as universally the best player in the draft like Will Anderson is, because he's not exactly as tall and as heavy as those guys are, but he has elite speed. His first step is like explosive, and he can beat people that way. He can really do some damage in the run game and in the pass game, and has several moves to get past that tackle or that tight end. The only thing he doesn't kick inside and play like the 3 technique or whatever, but he's so good at being an edge rusher that he's valuable enough to be on that field, and he's one of the few players who is arguably could be a future Hall of Famer, and he's talked about universally in being one of the top 3 picks in the NFL draft. So if, say, the Detroit Lions, the team that I root for, draft him, are able to, by some miracle, being able to draft him, have him and Aiden Hutchinson both on that field, that's going to pose a lot of problems for the opposing team's quarterback not getting sacked all the time. It's going to take a team with really good offensive tackles and really good inline blocking tight ends to be able to neutralize the Lions and their edge rushers, with Will Anderson on the team to go with the other good edge rushers that the Lions have. So that's why Will Anderson is number 1 for me. If the Lions manage to draft him, then I'll do backflips because that would just be amazing. My second favorite player in this draft is Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama. Just like Will Anderson, he's an elite player at an elite position, arguably the most elite position in the NFL at quarterback, and for an elite team, which was Alabama. And he's Patrick Mahomes light. He can pretty much do everything a quarterback should do. He can toss the ball for accuracy, for a long ways for strength. He can read defenses quite well. He's very smart, high football IQ. He can maneuver himself in the pocket wherever he needs to avoid pressure. He can scramble away and run away with the ball. He can do everything a quarterback can do that you would hope would generate into success. And I think whichever team winds up with Patrick Mahomes will probably at least once in Bryce Young's career will make it to the Super Bowl. It's just at this time last year, right after the NFL draft, I really thought the number 1 target for the Lions would have been Bryce Young in order to unite him with Jameson Williams. But unfortunately, the Lions played better this year to, not be a number 1 or number 2 pick once again. And the Houston Texans were really good at tanking, I guess, until that very last game of the season. And so Bryce Young is probably going to be a top 1 or top 2 player in the draft. So, but he's got everything I just said. He even has, the heart of a winner. That's the cheesy way I call it. My third favorite player in this 2023 NFL draft is Trenton Simpson, linebacker, Clemson. This is a linebacker that can do it all. He's basically the Bryce Young of defense, I think, except, he has larger size. He's strong, he's athletic, he can blitz, he can help out in coverage, he can pretty much do everything that you need a linebacker to do. And in today's age of football, when you have a lot of mobile quarterbacks who are taking off with the ball, I think having a linebacker that's as fast as Simpson and some of the other linebackers in this draft, who has that sideline-to-sideline speed, who can chase them down and tackle them. He's a good tackler, too. I think to be able to have that skill against the mobile quarterback is super important in the NFL. Not to mention being able to play the calls and being able to go, blitz or coverage or anything like that. Simpson can do it all, and with good linemen in front of him and good secondary players behind him, I think he could be very, very effective. So he's arguably the one person I hope the Lions are able to draft, and he can, for that reason, because of how much they struggled against mobile quarterbacks last season. And he looks like he'll go anywhere from the mid-first round probably to late second round. It's very difficult to perceive where he's going to wind up, but he's probably the one person that I realistically hope and think that the Lions should be able to get in the draft. My fourth favorite player in this draft, O'Cyrus Torrence, guard, Florida. If Penei Sewell was a guard, then it would be O'Cyrus Torrence. In fact, I think O'Cyrus Torrence models a lot of his game after Penei Sewell. So he's just a big dude who's really good at the rushing game. He's really good at blocking for the running backs. And I think you can, in the NFL, even though it's a passing league, if you have a strong offensive line, then it'll make any running back look good. And it will make the running backs look elite. And O'Cyrus Torrence is definitely one of those players who can definitely do that. He'll probably go sometime late first round to early second round because he's that good. It's him and Avila from TCU are the two guards that really stand out in the early part of this draft. And there's a huge separation for the other guards to later in the draft. So, if anybody who needs offensive line help, O'Cyrus Torrence is he's the strongest guard there, and he would definitely be good for that. And he's just got that mean guy mentality that you'd love to have in for any culture like that. So he's got no weaknesses at all, and he's got a lot of elite strengths that really help him with an offensive line. So you'll notice the pattern with my favorite players there. They have virtually no weaknesses and a lot of elite strengths. And you'll see that with this next guy I'm going to talk about, and you've seen that with the previous guys I've just talked about there. So my number 5 player is Bijan Robinson, running back, Texas. He is an elite player at a lesser valued position in today's NFL, but a team that does the right scheme, such as play action. If you want to run an effective play action, then you need to have a really good running game with good running backs that make the defenses think, oh, crap, they're going to run. Oh, nope, they're passing. And having an elite running back like Bijan Robinson can do that. And about Robinson, he's one of the other few players I think could be a future Hall of Famer. He's has virtually no weaknesses. He's elite in several areas. He's a really good speed, dynamic running back. He could also be a power running back. He's all of those things combined. And I think his most important skill that he's really good at is breaking tackles. And I think that's another battle that NFL teams are trying to get really good at. We talk about the turnover battle all the time, for example, but I think the tackle game is another thing that teams are trying to do to be successful. They want to stock up on defensive players who are really good at tackling, and they want to stock up on offensive playmakers who are good at breaking tackles. So I think with Robinson, that's really going to help you out there. And he'll probably go anywhere, possibly top of the first round to he won't escape the first round. I'd say anywhere in the first round is open game for him. And even though it's a running back position, I think Robinson is the exception here. So it's really hard to tell where he's going to wind up going. My 6th favorite player is, and I hope I'm saying his name right, Adetomiwa Adebawore, or my nickname for him is Double A. But anyways, he's a edge rusher slash defensive interior lineman from Northwestern. And for the purposes of this video, I'm talking about him as a defensive tackle, like a 3 technique, since he has played both at that position and edge quite a bit in college. And I honestly think he's one of the best at the 3 technique, especially in the NFL draft, especially in terms of pass rushing. And yes, even better than Kalijah Cansey, because, even though Double A has the same, right around the same height and weight that he does, his arm length is much larger, just shy of 34, I believe. And he also ran a 4.49 40-yard dash. Compare that to Cansey's 4.67. So Double A is really good at pass rushing, and got a relentless motor and being able to chase down the quarterbacks. And he's a freaky athlete, and he's got a never give up type of spirit. So just from watching his tape, I can see what it's all about there. So I think any team that grabs him will be. He'll be a tremendous asset to their defensive line and being able to disrupt. I project Double A to go anywhere between the early to mid-second round. My 7th favorite prospect is Darnell Washington, tight end, Georgia. Man, this player really stuck out to me in the Georgia game against Oregon when he hurdled over a player. So that was my first impression there with this guy. But he's the biggest tight end in the draft, as far as I can tell. His height is 6'7", his weight is 264 pounds, and his arm length is 34 and 5/8. So good luck finding another tight end in the draft that has those measurements. But and this isn't the type of tight end who you would want like catching passes, like route running and, like a receiver or anything. This is a tight end you'd look for inline blocking. Like his specialty is inline blocking, although he'd probably make a good red zone target too. So he can factor into that. And if you just want to like throw one high up in there, and then he could just reach over whoever's covering him and grab it. But blocking is where he'll be most valuable for an NFL team, especially with the arms race going on for edge rushers and offensive tackles. And, he'd be very valuable to pair with a offensive tackle on either side to be able to block that elite edge rusher that's coming their way there. So as a Lions fan, one of my biggest fears in this draft is the Green Bay Packers, who do need to draft a tight end, that they're going to wind up getting him. So the best way to prevent that is obviously would be to draft him so that at least the Packers can't get him, and line him up against Hutchinson, whom I think Washington lined up against Hutchinson in a bowl game, playoff game a couple of years ago, and did pretty well against him, if I remember right. But that's how Washington, if you're an NFL offense who values rushing the ball, he's another blocker who can really help with the other offensive linemen and help the run game and the blocking in that regard too. So whoever gets Washington is going to be really good there. And he'll probably go late first round at the earliest, mid second round at the latest, I would think. My 8th and the last favorite player that I'll talk about here is Cedric Tillman, wide receiver, Tennessee. You know how we see those instant replays all the time where, like, the wide receiver, did he catch the ball? Did he not catch the ball? Was it out of bounds or whatever? Cedric Tillman is definitely going to be that wide receiver we're going to see on TV that the refs are going to try to figure out if it's not him or not that all the time. So he's that go-to X receiver type that, what do you look for in an X receiver? You want height and size, and you want them to be able to catch contested catches. Well, Cedric Tillman's 6'3", which I think is high enough. And as far as I can tell, based on all my research and all the tape I've watched on him, he's definitely the best out of anybody, as far as I can tell, at contested catches. And he's definitely very physical. He's not afraid to, fight with the secondaries to be able to run where he's got to go and to get up and get the ball. And I don't really expect the Lions to draft him because they already signed Marvin Jones Jr., but if they did, this player would definitely be very fun to watch. My guess is he gets drafted anywhere from the mid-second round to anywhere throughout the entire third round. It really just depends, I guess, on the teams and their boards at that point. But Cedric Tillman was somebody I got excited watching, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes. So those are my 8 favorite players. Let me know who your favorite player is, what you thought of the things I had to say about those guys, and just days away from the NFL draft. I'm just ready to see what's going to happen, Go Lions and one pride.